Cyber Weekend 2015 is in the books. I guess we can say it's time to wrap up Cyber Weekend 15 and we can put a bow on it. And I'm here today with Kurt Heinemann, the CMO of Reflektion, and we're going to talk a little bit about Cyber Weekend 2015. Kurt, how are you doing today?
Very good, thank you. Good to be here.
Good to have you. And congratulations. I heard, we'll start off with this. I heard that you received a huge honor from shop.org. I believe it's a new business of the year. Is that what?
Yeah, it's a digital startup of the year. Shop.org awarded us back in Philadelphia back in early October. It was a great honor, and we'll also be at NRF talking a little bit about that as well.
Oh, awesome. Looking forward to that. I can't believe it's only about 6 weeks away. So
yeah, very soon.
All right. There's people out there who are saying right now that Cyber Weekend or Cyber Week in a whole, from Black Friday to Cyber Monday, was kind of a soft sales period. But when you look at e-commerce, it was really off the charts. What did e-commerce do to win Cyber Week or Cyber Weekend?
Yeah, I mean, outside of the obvious convenience factor, which has really been growing and growing as people have gone through and seen the horror stories of Friday night openings, if you will, or Thursday night openings for Black Friday. I think the other thing is truly the omni-channel concept is coming to bear. What you're seeing is the discounting is now common across all the channels. So instead of having very isolated and solo discounting practices only in the brick and mortar, the retailers are realizing that extending that into the e-commerce space and not taking advantage of those eyeballs is a waste. And so what's happening is you don't have to go to brick and mortar now for a brand engagement solely for that discount. It's happening across all of their channels where possible, for the most part. And so that ends up making not only the convenience factor turn into a super convenience factor, because I don't have to go in to get that piece of electronics equipment with a $30 discount anymore. I can order it online. And I think at the same time, there's been two elements in the shipping side of the business that have really turned the corner. One is the reliability and the speed that's happening. So 2-day shipping is really 2-day shipping, and that's now a standard. And so there's no kind of barrier to when will I get it. And the other piece is people are just okay suddenly having a TV show up at their house. It used to be years ago, it was just small box goods, maybe apparel. But now food, large electronics, everything is being shipped and it's getting there securely, and people are trusting that as opposed to having to go to brick and mortar to pick it up. You know,
my wife and I did that same thing. With the Walmart app, we purchased a television and figured, it's going to be way too big to get into the car. It's going to be way too heavy to carry too. So why not just have FedEx deliver this thing to our house? And speaking of apps, I mean, it just seemed with mobile was just so huge this weekend as well. And what is that really doing for the future of retail as well?
Well, I think it's educating that we really have to be as customer centric as possible. The shoppers are deciding how they wish to engage with brands, and they're shifting to the places that are the most convenient for them. It used to be that the retailer could decide when and where that would happen. And right now it's really getting down to such a competitive environment that the customer is the person who's being catered to much more. And so what's happening is not only, it used to be just in store you got the discounts. Now we're seeing them in e-commerce. Now what's happening is the customer and the shopper is finding it more convenient to shop for goods when they're commuting into the office on a train, or they're able to showroom in a competitor's store. And that allows them to make very smart decisions, very informed decisions, and do some very simple transactions. The way that retailers have been able to facilitate that is by making much more responsive sites that are easier to navigate and find things. I think they still have a long way to go, and you can see that in the conversion rates overall. But with traffic being at 50% and revenue being almost 25, if not more, for a lot of other sites in terms of source of mobile, mostly from smartphones, the brands have to respond, and they have to make it as easy and convenient as possible. They have to build the best mousetrap possible on a smartphone so that shoppers can convert from there.
Let me just ask you, are you an app shopper yourself? Do you use apps for this? And if so, are there certain ones that you kind of levitate to because of ease of use or convenience?
Yeah, we primarily facilitate mobile web wherever possible, less app. I think that the truisms of the fact that there's, you use probably 10% of the apps on your phone that you have, and the amount of brands that you're engaging with apps is going to be very limited. So you either have to be a giant like Amazon or Walmart to really have a solid app footprint and utility, or you have to have some uniqueness, a very strong brand affinity, whether it's a Nordstrom and a personal shopper, to really take advantage of the apps. I think that for the most part, most people are going to bump into your brand because they're searching for it, not necessarily you, but for a piece of apparel, a piece of cookware, whatever it might be. And so having them have to engage with an app randomly is more challenging. So you need to make your web-facing side mobile that much more intelligent and navigable.
Something else that was, I got a good laugh a couple of weeks ago with a post that you wrote for Multi-Channel Merchant about email abuse. Just seeing that, I mean, there is a lot of cases of email abuse out there. Did you see any kind of like really blatant email abuse or things that really should have been done over this Cyber weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's two things that are interesting for me to observe. First is the plethora of emails. I mean, from individual brands, I counted it just last night, just because I knew I was going to be talking to you. And from one brand alone, I received 10 emails between Friday and last night. And that's insane. And what's amazing is when I look at them, some of them have headlines for women's apparel. Some of them will have headlines that are just discounts on boots. It's so random that at a certain point when I lined those 10 up, I realized they have no idea who I am as a shopper. And it's really, truly just the spray and pray approach. It doesn't cost a lot for me to send this email, so I'm just going to carpet bomb them. And unfortunately, that is, while giving short-term return, I think it ends up having long-term detrimental results. And we see that in the email results that the retailers are getting. They're getting decreasing returns on email. It's because they're really basically spamming the population of the recipients. And I think the more that they can individualize those messages and make them relevant to that individual, it's going to help a ton. Obviously, there's a lot of emails that are based off of something hung in the basket, or we saw that you looked at something. But imagine if you could find items and use the email inbox as a merchandising opportunity that's intelligent about that individual. They'll look forward to that content instead of necessarily another 10% off sale for a category that I have no interest in.
Speaking of, you're mentioning that with subject lines too. I've seen some retailers, and maybe I don't know if this counts as abuse also, but you have the same retailer having the same promotion, same exact subject line 5 times during the day. And then it turns out, for instance, okay, we're doing this for Black Friday, and then Saturday comes, oh, hey, guess what? We extended, even though we had last chance at 10 p.m., we've extended this for another day, and that's got to be a little tiring as well.
It'll break down all the believability, and it suddenly, what happens is the consumer realizes that, you know what, there is no such thing as a Black Friday. There's barely something as a digital event for just Monday. It's really about, you know what, if it's Tuesday, I'd be surprised that they're not going to offer the same discount to me. So this window, this one-time just Monday, just Friday event is now becoming really, it's a season. And I think the shopper has kind of been, just to your point, has been a little bit jaded. And at this point, it's like, you know what, they'll have the discount tomorrow. I'm not too worried about it.
That's a great segue into flashing back into July. Amazon had Prime Day. They decided, let's take one day and make it a selling holiday. With the way that Cyber Week is kind of like just morphing into like going from 1 or 2 or 3 days into like almost the entire month of November and December, and shoppers not really being as attentive to what's going on. And with the popularity in China of Singles Day and 19.3 billion. I'm gonna mix up the number, but then really it's a huge day. I mean, do you think you're going to see more Prime Day or Singles Day kind of one-day events going on by retailers in the U.S.?
I mean, we've always seen it. We've always seen versions of this in the retail world, whether it's a white sale related to President's Day or whatever. There seems to be some creative execution tied to events. I think it's going to be challenging for anybody outside of somebody like Amazon to set up their own day that has enough media impact that people are going to pursue it. And really, it's going to drum up enough media awareness that it'll get attention. I mean, as much as we can sit here and criticize Prime Days, the number of discounts they offered, or if anything was relevant, we all talked about it for about a week and a half. So it got tons of exposure, and I'm sure it got an inordinate amount of traffic for Amazon. So in one form or another, it was a win. I just don't know how many other players out there in the retail world have that much pull that they can create that big a media event. I think you'll see some really creative executions in messages from certain brands when the marketers put on their thinking caps. They can come up with some really great creative executions. I don't think anybody will have the ability to really have a dominant footprint the way that Prime did, or that Amazon did with Prime Day.
You know what? I should throw in one more question here about Cyber Weekend and Cyber Week itself. But REI, they made a big splash by not only being closed on Thanksgiving, but also on Black Friday. And now the e-commerce site was still up, but I mean, they had the big overlay saying, I forgot exactly, get outside or be outside today, something to that effect. Is that something you think would have hurt REI, or is this again part of their customer really could buy gear from REI at any time of the year?
Yeah, I would love to see the case study at the end of the season to see what REI ended up with. I think it fits their brand incredibly well, so it's on message for what their brand is. I think that it's interesting. Any day, it's like any website going down for a period of 4 hours. You missed that 4 hours of sales. You don't get that 4 hours back. Strategically, my gut tells me that they lost some opportunity for revenue as a result of that, and they might not have got the media attention they wanted enough to justify the offset of the benefit of that. But that being said, maybe they drew enough media awareness about that it was worth it.
Okay, great. Hey, Kurt, thank you very much for your time today, and we'll see you soon and enjoy the rest of this holiday season.
Thanks, Tim. Appreciate the opportunity.